I doubt if many people express their grief publicly these days. In the 18th century, on the other hand, it was a matter of honor to show your emotions. Even in the stern days of neoclassicism, a style which concerned itself with heroic actions performed either by the Greeks or the Romans, the emotions of despair and grief were both drawn upon and even enjoyed. David's Brutus receiving the bodies of his dead sons is a case in point. Lucius Junius Brutus belongs to the relatively dark ages when Rome was a kingdom ruled by Tarquin, a ruthless tyrant. On hearing of a rape performed by Tarquin's son, Brutus swore an oath to rid Rome not only of the Tarquins, but of the very institution of monarchy itself. The first Roman Republic was established in 508 BC, and for the first time in the history of the state, the rule of law, as Livy says, prevailed above the rule of man. Unfortunately, Brutus's sons turned out badly. They entered into a conspiracy with their mother's family to restore the rule of the Tarquins, and Brutus was obliged by that same superior rule to have them put to death, his own sons. According to Plutarch, Brutus watched impassively while his sons were executed. The painter David found himself unable or unwilling to paint the scene of Brutus witnessing his son's execution. So he invented a sort of postscript to this incident in which Brutus and his family received back into their house the dead bodies of the two youths. David did not, in fact, paint either Brutus's oath or his decision. He has decided to paint Brutus's grief. The picture is like a serial story whose episodes have been collected into a unity. The same tiled pavement runs under the naked or sandaled feet of all the mourners. The same arcade of Doric columns, breaking over the door lintel, divides the living from the dead and stricken. Inside this framework, fragmentation takes place. Brutus himself is only superficially impassive, as Plutarch described him. He takes refuge beneath a darkly silhouetted statue of Rome, justification for his actions. Yet he is still obsessed with his decision. One hand points to his head, seat of rational argument. The other instinctively tightens on the hated and incriminating letter which his sons wrote to Tarquin. His powerful arms are relatively still, but his feet recoil and rise. In contrast to this knot of conflicting physical tensions, Brutus's wife is a more dramatic but less noble figure. She looks flustered rather than stricken, and we remember that hers is a political as well as a maternal reaction. Her family devised the royalist plot. Our only indication that bloodshed has taken place is provided by the younger daughter, who throws up her hands in horror as she sees the bodies. Her sister has taken one look and fainted. Her limp arm merges into the line of the mother's leg, and so brings the eye to the outer rim of the composition. And to the figure of the old nurse. Far more crushed by the loss of her children than their real mother. And from there, the eye returns to the mother, for attention seems to be pulling them apart and thus forcing a comparison. And guided by the very necessary arm of the mother, we're led to what can be seen of the bodies of the sons. And thus back to Brutus again. All attitudes to grief are here. Tormented, angry, physically uncontrollable, stricken, professional. Obviously, physical expression counts for a great deal. And yet the picture is not just a panorama of faces. I've said that it is about fragmentation. First of all, in the physical sense. All contact between Brutus and his wife has been lost. She is in the light. He is in deep shadow. His hand points, with what one now perceives as waning conviction, to his head. Her hand, which does not point at all, is used as a spotlit focus for what David paints best, shock. And beneath her shocking hand is her pathetic work basket. In fact, the exact physical center of this domestic drama is occupied by a ball of yarn, which looks very modern and middle class, as does the respectable tasseled tablecloth over the goat-footed table. The needle and the cloth, an exquisite piece of painting, provide the still center to this dissonant composition. Has the painter disrupted the space too much? In comparison with his earlier works in this style, certainly. In The Oath of the Hierarchy, which shows a moment of resolution, the spatial formula is like an intellectual theorem triumphantly solved. In The Death of Socrates, the intellectual theorem is solved with less obvious triumph, but with ease and beauty. In the Brutus, the spatial formula has been partially abandoned. The episodes are scattered and the center left bare. There's something ragged and discordant about this picture, which may give a hint that change is on the way. The torments of the Romans were to return to obscurity as the torments of the French increased. The tension, as shown in Brutus's hand clutching the document, was to expand into the complete awe and empathy which enabled David to paint the death of Marat. But now we're in contemporary revolutionary France. Back in ancient Rome, this strange and powerful picture of Brutus and his dead sons shows David fulfilling two purposes. The one he knows about involves him in paying homage to the world of classical antiquity. The one he feels is concerned with the disruptive and incalculable effects of emotion.